Hello and welcome to Top 10 U.S. War Generals. William Westmoreland was a four-star U.S. general who commanded the U.S. force for the Vietnam War. He served in World War II and the Korean War. When he was in command for the Vietnam War, he directed over 500,000 troops and his strategy was of attrition, where his plan mainly was about depleting enemy resources through heavy artillery and power from planes above. His historical context was in the era of the Second World War and the Cold War. His significance lies in what his war tried to accomplish and how he played a good portion in its turnout. To their America, the fall of more countries and nations to communism leads to the destruction of democracy and the entire world being against them. Douglas MacArthur was a general in World War II. He assisted in the rebuilding of Japan after the war and peacefully transitioned it to a democratic government. MacArthur's historical context is in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. His impact on the U.S. was that he helped the U.S. win World War II, and his efforts in Japan also helped stop the spread of communism. Dwight D. Eisenhower was a five-star Army general who led the Allied invasion into Normandy, France after the French surrendered to the German invasion. He was also the 34th President of the United States, and he served as the general in World War II during the operation both known as D-Day or Operation Overlord. His historical context was the Korean War, the Cold War, and along with World War II. The significance of him and his actions is that he helped take back France and officially invaded Europe to fight Germany and its allies, which helped both France and Britain and eventually won the war. George S. Patton fought in both World War I and World War II, but his main influence was in World War II. In World War I, he was the first officer assigned to the Tank Corps, which made and trained officers to operate tanks, which were incredibly hard to defeat if the opposition was unprepared. In World War II, he commanded the 7th Army in the invasion of Sicily, and after D-Day, he and his 3rd Army moved fast through France and invaded both Germany and Czechoslovakia. His historical context is both world wars. His significance is that his work within the world wars helped the U.S. win and helped the U.S. continue to prosper into a world superpower. Omar N. Bradley was a key general in World War II. He directed 1.3 million troops during the war. Some of his more notable missions were in D-Day, where he led the first group of troops on the beaches of Normandy, and the 12th Army Group he led through France and the final push into Germany after the Battle of the Bulge. Bradley's historical context is World War II. His significance to the history of the U.S. is that the victory over Germany-controlled France established a gateway into German territory. George C. Marshall was a master strategist that served in World War I and taught troops in World War II, directing them all across Europe. Some of his most important work was with the Marshall Plan. Due to immense debt, unemployment, and damage to European countries after World War II, the Marshall Plan sent them money to reconstruct themselves as long as they refused communism in favor of democracy. His historical context was the Cold War and World War I. Marshall's work was incredibly significant because it helped many countries start back up again and cut out the communist expansion. Winfield Scott, also known as Old Fuss and Feathers, was the nation's longest-serving general in American history. He trained recruits in the War of 1812, he led the invasion that conquered Mexico City in the Mexican-American War, he even created the Anaconda Plan in the Civil War. His historical context is in the War of 1812, the Mexican-American War, and the Civil War. His significance is that by his creation of the Anaconda Plan, he played a major contribution to defeating the Confederacy and winning the Civil War, not to mention his other wars like the Mexican-American getting the U.S. more land. Ulysses S. Grant was the 18th President of the United States, but also a great general, joining the Mexican-American War after graduating from the United States Military Academy. After returning home, he joined the Union Army in the Civil War and became a general, helping make the Anaconda Plan come to fruition by gaining control of the Mississippi River and led the Union forces against Confederate General Robert E. Lee to his surrender. Grant's historical context is the Mexican-American War and the Civil War. Grant's significance to history is that his war efforts led to the reunification of the United States and the freeing of the slaves. William T. Sherman was a businessman and a general on the side of the Union in the Civil War. He led many Union soldiers to victory against the Confederacy by using total war tactics. He is most well known for his March to the Sea, where he destroyed anything in his path. After this devastating victory, he continued his scorched earth tactics down into the Carolinas to further stop Confederate supply lines. Sherman had a historical context of the Civil War, and his significance is that with his harsh tactics he helped force the Confederacy ultimately to lose the war, ending up with them rejoining the Union. Naturally, it wouldn't be a U.S. history video without George Washington, the man who led the United States into creation, the first president. The context on his work is the Revolutionary War he helped lead was caused because England was enacting dictator-like policies to control the colonies, and the colonies refused. So they fought, and with the eventual help of the French and a little bit of the Spanish, they triumphed. His historical significance is that his actions and leadership led to the Declaration of Independence's adoption and the creation of the Articles of Confederation, which was later replaced to make the Constitution and made the Great United States.